Devon Peterson only began playing competitive darts when he was 17, but he quickly became one of the top young players in all of South Africa, winning multiple junior events. However, Peterson nearly quit the sport early when he qualified to represent South Africa at the World Cup, but was unable to compete in this event as he was too young. This led to him becoming disillusioned with the sport, but he eventually picked up his darts again. We first saw Devon in a televised PDC tournament at the 2009 Emperor's Palace South African Masters, an unranked event at a hotel in Johannesburg. The Masters event saw the best players in South Africa face off against some of the best players in the PDC, and Peterson was drawn against three-time world champion John Part. Ahead of the game, Peterson was nervous and spoke with Phil Taylor for advice. Peterson lost this game 4-1, but after the game, Phil gave Devon his darts directly out of his darts case. For a while, Peterson played with these exact Phil Taylor Phase 5 darts. In the South African World Championship qualifier the following year, Peterson got to the final, where he faced Les Francis, who had beaten him to the spot in the previous year in a deciding leg. However, this time it was Peterson's turn to win a deciding leg, and he secured his spot at Ali Pali. He started the World Championships in the preliminary round and faced Guyana's Norman Madu. He won his first two legs in this game with finishes of 1-3-6 and 1-4-6. He went on to win the game in a deciding leg and set up a first round clash with Jamie Caven later in that evening. At this time, he was still using the darts which Taylor had given him. He took the first set against Caven but ended up losing 3-1. However, he did not go straight back to South Africa, opting to stay in the UK to attend PDC Q School in mid-January. He won 3 matches on the first day of Q School, but was beaten by Mark Jones in the last 16. On the next day, he won 5 games to get to the last 4 and secured his PDC tour card. This changed Peterson's life, and he made a difficult decision to move to the UK to pursue his darting dreams and become South Africa's first professional player. Peterson didn't manage to make it past the last 32 of any tournament in 2011, but he did manage to pick up a win on his UK Open debut, and he won the South Africa World Championship qualifier for the second time, securing his spot at Ali Pali for the second year in a row. Peterson went on a decent run at the Worlds, beating a debuting Jose de Souza in a deciding leg in the preliminary round, before beating Steve Brown 3-2 in the first round, recovering from 2-0 down in a deciding set and surviving a match start. Despite improving his average to over 90 for the first time in this event, Peterson was knocked out by Gary Anderson in the next round. In 2012, Peterson won his first round UK Open game and made his Euro Tour debut. Devon relinquished his tour card at the end of the 2012 season, as he took the majority of 2013 away from darts to recover from an arm injury. Peterson attended the South African World Championship qualifier towards the end of 2013, and he won it for the third time, beating Graham Philby in the final. On his Ali Pali return, he beat Latif Sapop in the preliminary round to set up a clash with Steve Beaton. Peterson beat Beaton, a former BDO World Champion, 3-1, and moved into the second round at Ali Pali for the second time in his career. In the next round, he faced Justin Pipe, and he started well, going 2-0 up. However, Pipe won the next set and managed to force the deciding leg in the fourth set. With Pipe set on 36 to level the tie, Peterson took out a huge 130 finish on the ball to take a 3-1 lead, and he didn't look back, taking the final set to secure a 4-1 win. In the next round, Peterson was outclassed by James Wade, and he lost 4-0. Peterson attempted to qualify for the World Championships again in the following year, but he lost in the final. He attended Q School at the start of 2015 in an attempt to regain a tour card. On the first day, he dropped just one leg in the first 2 games, but then lost 5-2 to Matt Clark in the last 1-8. However, on the next day, Peterson managed to win 6 straight games, securing a tour card by reaching the last 4. The only close game on this day was a deciding leg win over Scott Campbell. Peterson said that the winning return to Q School nearly brought him to tears. During his time away from the PDC, Peterson had moved back to Cape Town and started a business, so he decided that this time around he was going to base himself in South Africa and fly over to the UK for darts events. Peterson estimated that he flew between South Africa and the UK 20 times a year when doing this. In March 2015, Peterson had a great run at the UK Open, which began with a 5-1 win over Matt Clark. In the next 2 rounds, Peterson claimed sudden death leg wins over both Mark Cox and Mark Bareilles to move through to the next day of action. On the Saturday, Peterson beat 7-time Pro Tour title winner Jamie Caven 9-6 on board 2. In the evening session, he beat Eddie Dootson 9-3 to get to his first singles major quarter-final. He then faced then world number 1 Michael van Gerwen on the main stage. Peterson was tied 4-all with MVG at one point, but after he missed a big number to leave the ball, Van Gerwen took out 81 and then won 5 of the next 6 legs to secure a 10-5 win. Despite this setback, it was a good performance and event from Peterson, who posted a 98 average against MVG. In the rest of this year, he reached 2 Pro Tour quarter-finals and also appeared in the World Series of Darts finals, which he was invited to. In 2016, Peterson didn't make it past the last 16 of any event, but he appeared in 7 European Tour events and earned a debut in the European Championships, as well as the Players' Championship finals. Peterson also made his return to Ali Pali at the end of the year, qualifying through the Pro Tour Order of Merit for the first time in his career, but he lost 3-1 to Steve Beaton in the first round with an average of just 79. He struggled in 2017, not making it to the quarter-finals of any event. He was given a place at Ali Pali as he was the highest placed African player on the PDC Order of Merit. He faced Darren Webster and went 2-0 down in sets, but managed to force the deciding set, which he lost 3-0. In 2018, he didn't make it past the last 32 at any Pro Tour event, but he appeared at Ali Pali by winning the South African qualifier, which he was dominant in. In his first round game against Wayne Jones, Devon went 2-0 up in sets, but Jones came back, winning the next 2 sets and forcing a sudden death leg. Peterson missed 7 match darts in this crazy leg, and Jones missed 6, but Devon eventually managed to win, hitting double 2 with his last dart in hand. Peterson's second round tie against Ian White went to a tiebreak, which he managed to win, and he then faced Steve West, who he beat 4-2 to make the last 16. He then lost to Nathan Aspinall in a deciding set, but it had been a great run for Devon. He won the South African qualifier again in the following year, but then lost 3-1 to Luke Humphreys. However, this is when everything began to change for Devon. He had shown signs of improvement in the past couple of years, with his seasonal Players' Championship average going from 87.18 in 2018, which was the 158th best on tour, to 92.26 in 2019, which was the 58th best, but then improved massively. Around this time, he moved from Unicorn to Trinidad and began using new darts as well as Condor flights. After first round exits at the first 4 Players' Championships events of 2022, he reached his first PDC semi-final. This run began with a deciding leg win over Harry Ward before a whitewash over Stephen Bunty. Peterson then hit a stunning 111 average to beat Neil Zonneveld and a 105 average to beat Rob Cross. He beat Dimitri van den Berg in the quarterfinals with a 99 average before losing to Peter Wright with a similar average in the semis. Devon showed this wasn't a fluke by reaching the last 16 at the next event, where he averaged 104 in a win over Glenn Durrant. He then suffered a disappointing loss in the first round of the UK Open. An even bigger disappointment for him was that just as he had started playing well, the tour was paused for 4 months due to the coronavirus pandemic. However, when the tour returned, he was still on great form, as he had been practicing for 4 to 6 hours a day at home. He got 6 wins in the first 4 events back, and then had great runs in back-to-back Pro Tour events. In the first, he got to the semi-finals, beating Michael van Gerwen in a deciding leg on the way. He lost in a decider to Gerwyn Price, despite averaging in excess of 113. In the next event, he also reached the semis, beating Price in a decider on the way with a 107 average, but he lost to Madars Razma in a sudden death leg. Few events later, he got to his first PDC final, whitewashing MVG and hitting an 110 average against Nathan Aspinall on the way. In the final, he lost to Gerwyn Price, despite averaging 6 points more than the Welshman. He also missed 4 match darts during this final. However, he would not have to wait long for his first PDC title, as in the second Eurotour event of that year, which was the German Darts Championship, he became the first African winner of a PDC ranking title. During this run, Peterson beat Gerwyn Price and Rob Cross in deciding legs with ton-plus averages in back-to-back rounds. He also averaged over 100 in his semi-final, where he beat Danny Noppert, and in the final, where he beat Johnny Clayton. In November of 2020, he reached his first major semi-final, where he won 3 straight games, 2 with a ton-plus average, before losing in the decider to James Wade at the European Championship. At the Grand Slam, he topped his group, but then lost in the next round. He ended the 2020 Players' Championship season with an average of 96.69, which was the 8th highest of any player. At the World Championships, he dropped 1 set in getting through the first 2 rounds, before losing 4-0 to Gary Anderson in the last 16, despite averaging 95. Then, his downfall began, with a wrist injury giving him a dilemma of either having a surgery which would have forced him to miss several months of action, or trying to change his throw to reduce the pain. He chose to change his throw, and it took him a while to adapt to it, and 6 months to be able to play without pain. His average in Players' Championships events in 2021 fell to 89.96, which was the 97th highest. His only quarter-final appearance of this year occurred in a major, where he got to the last 8 of the UK Open before losing to Gerwyn Price in a deciding leg. He only averaged over 100 twice in this year, with both of these coming in back-to-back games, and he also put in a concerning 77 average at a Players' Championship event. He then averaged 87 and was beaten 3-0 by Raymond Smith in his first game at the 2020 World Championship. In the 2022 season, he didn't make it past the last 16 of any non-qualifying event, and he didn't hit a single ton-plus average. His average during the year fell further to 88.55, which was the 125th highest on tour. He didn't appear at the 2023 World Championship after losing to Grant Sampson in the South African qualifier. Peterson has described going from winning a Euro Tour to regularly averaging in the high 70s and low 80s as shambolic. He hasn't started this year well either, being whitewashed by James Wade in the first round of the first Players' Championship event, where he averaged 83. His average fell to 81 on the following day, where he lost 6-1 to Mike De Decker. He then lost in the first Euro Tour qualifier of the year with a 78 average. He also lost in the first round of the second qualifier with an average of 82. He now sits 81st on the provisional post-World Championship Order of Merit, and he needs a huge improvement ASAP if he wants to get into the top 64 at the end of the year, which he needs to keep his tour card.